Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fans Voice. We're back again. Dennis and Bill join me to discuss that Manchester City performance. A very positive one, despite the result in the end being a little bit negative. We're also going to preview the Leeds United game, which is a long, long way away, lads. I'm not used to it. Normally, it's sort of a game after a few days, then preparing. We've actually got a nice break. But I'll come to Bill first. Bill, how are you feeling today, mate?
Yeah, fine, thanks, mate. How you all doing?
Lovely stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Dennis, how you doing,
Yeah,
mate?
I'm
You
good.
missed Saturday, but you're back nonetheless.
I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm sorted, and I missed out on some high pitched screaming from Charles when we scored. So
To be fair, you probably could have included me in there. I got a little bit too excited with that goal, thinking, "Here we
we'll
go."
let you off. We'll let you off every once in a while, but it did feel odd listening to the game in the car on TalkSport and hearing a commentator tell me there's a goal rather than just someone jumping up and screaming, "It's a goal! It's a goal!"
Yeah,
So
not quite the same. Not as excited.
Not quite the same. No, not quite the same.
To be fair, mate, I don't know how Bill feels about this, but when it went to 1-1, I actually think, even though we went a goal down, it was a little. I'm not saying it was against the run of play because it was a relatively good goal and Manchester City had a lot of possession, but we were still very much in the game. It was a much more positive performance than I think I've seen from West Ham this season against the top six side. Would you agree, Bill?
Well, albeit the traditional top six is going to be different this year, isn't it? So I still class the Leicester away game as our best performance of the season. But it was a really good performance against City. I think if Diop either he scores or he lays it off to Souček to score in the last minute, I think a draw it wouldn't have flattered us whatsoever. City weren't at their fluent best, but they played Mönchengladbach last week, midweek, and that first half, I felt going in level was the least we deserved, it was real positive performance, and plenty of good highlights from most of our players, and I think it was definitely their hardest of the they've won 21 games in the 21 games and they've won now, and after beating Wolves last night, but at the time they beat us it was 20. And I think Declan Rice said that after the game that was their hardest of the 20 wins, and I totally agree. We made it hard for them.
Yeah, I think that was the real plus. I thought we were very intense in terms of our pressing. We tried to get those turnovers in play. It was really, really important. You touched on it. There was no Cancelo, but it was a very, very strong Man City side. And to be fair, I thought first 20 minutes leading up to the goal, and we'll discuss the goal and the whys and wherefores of it. I just thought West Ham were very much in it. We looked positive when we got the ball, and I think that's something you touched on the Leicester City game. Yeah, that was a game that probably is our best performance against the sort of big six or top six side. But I think against Man City, we look back at that Liverpool game and say, are we going to do the same? And I just saw quite a lot of changes and quite a fair bit of positivity. Would you agree with that, Dennis? I know you didn't see the game in full, but from what you envisaged,
from what I know, from what I heard, and from what I see, what I would say is it's one of only 3 times now we have made a game of it against Pep Guardiola's Man City. Obviously, Pellegrini's first game was a 1-0 tight affair, although I don't think we ever were really in that one. And at home, when we got a point, I think it really spills over from other games where we say that if we go behind, it's not as devastating as it used to be because we got confidence. There's goals in this team. Whether it was against the run of play, I'm not too sure. I do know we had a pretty, from how the commentators on TalkSport described it, a pretty decent chance where I think Lingard had a shot which got blocked out from a corner, not early on, but that was our only shot on goal beforehand. But we certainly weren't out of it by what sounds. It was an insane ball by Kevin De Bruyne. Let's be fair here for their opener. The only thing I'd say from looking back is, I think Diop lost his man quite easily. There was a bit of confusion between Dawson and Diop there, where they were both running diagonally across. But I think that needs to be credit for Man City. The fact that their centre-backs are, scoring their goals shows how Pep Guardiola has evolved that team and changed it. They were, over-reliant on Kevin De Bruyne for delivery, I guess. But ultimately, it shows that this is a absolutely mental team. 20 wins in a row is up. I'm not going to say it's the same, but it's up there with the Invincibles in that sort of
21 now
of running, or 21. 21 wins. admittedly, it's not 40 odd games undefeated, but Arsenal drew a lot of games that year. Did well to draw, and it's a fantastic team, but 20 wins in a row, or 21 now, it's mental. But back to West Ham, yeah, it shows there's a positive ethos and positive spirit. It certainly was a tough game. I think a lot of City fans on Twitter, I'm not too sure if any of the City personnel in the interview said so, but they all admitted it was the toughest game. The fact that Liverpool got turned over 4-1, albeit from goalkeeper mistakes, and we only lost 2-1, really does show that we can be proud of that. I know other fans could turn around and go, ha, 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 small club mentality, you're proud of a defeat, but has your team beaten Man City recently?
I still believe we're one of the. You look at some of the results they've chalked up 4-1 against Liverpool, 4-1 last night. I still think our performance was the best performance a side actually showed against them in that 21. And it isn't an accolade to be proud of, but I looked at it towards probably more the end of the game, or even the nature of the goals, because from open play, Gundogan wasn't really getting in behind. I know De Bruyne obviously with the assist. Aguero was basically invisible, or what it felt like. He wasn't getting onto the end of stuff. So from a defensive point of view, I thought we went back to a bit of a 5-3-2 at times. Fornals was tucking in, and to be fair, I thought Fornals had one of his better games in a long time. He was winning the ball. He was trying to be composed with it. And the goals, you look at it, they're from breakdowns in almost set pieces, and then they've left Diaz and Stones up. That Bill saw last night. Laporte getting that goal that probably should have been onside. That's the ability that they've got. The fact that they're so comfortable in throwing up their two centre-backs, because they know that they've got players in behind now that can deal with that threat. So I was impressed with overall performance. I think there was a lot of good individual performances in there. But the goal, I can't lie, was disappointing, because you don't expect West Ham to get done from a delivery as such. And realistically, it was only ever going to be a Diaz or a Stones to get on the end of it. They don't have too much height in that side.
Well, the second goal is the one that I'm more disappointed with, but we'll probably come on to that later. But the first goal, it's just more, I think Diop loses his man a little bit, but being maybe a bit harsh, because that is a very well-drilled Man City side, and the ball from Kevin De Bruyne was insane.
It's perfect. Yeah, no, it was a ridiculous ball. It's tough to
insane run, insane ball. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Diop there, but yeah, it's the second goal that disappointed me. Where they're, very uncharacteristically, if you watch it back, as the ball gets cut across from the bar line, we all chase the ball rather than looking at the man, and we give Stones pretty much, as well as you could, a free shot on goal pretty much. We all open up and there's a big gap for him. Randolph's blindsided and flat-footed. There's been some criticism in for it, but when you got that many bodies in front of you, it is easy to happen. I think Fabianski would have had a better chance of getting there, but I don't think even in the form he's in, Fabianski's getting that. I think the fault lies with the defenders chasing the ball, personally. If they'd stood strong, they could have had more of a chance of getting a block in on that shot from Stones, because it's always going to John Stones and he's always having a shot.
So. Bill, I mean, what do you think about it? Because on the replay, it feels like Fornals is out of position and he's not quite tucked in. Obviously, the entire back five set back, and then he's kind of missed it and Stones has stepped in. How do you perceive that goal? Do you think it was Randolph could have done better? Do you think maybe Fornals? Do you think it was more to do with the defence?
I'd say for both their goals, you could argue that could we have defended it a little bit better? Possibly. I think that's been hypercritical personally, especially the first one. I think Diop and Dawson didn't know who to mark. I think Torres was outside the box where Soufal was as well. That's why he wasn't in the box defending. So, and plus the ball was really good from Kevin De Bruyne. That's what you get from world-class players like him, brilliant delivery. I think he's in the top 10 Premier League assist makers of all time now, so which is brilliant going. So, and I think for Man City's second goal, I think Dennis is probably right, but I think look who assisted the goal was Riyad Mahrez, one of the best wingers in the past 5 years. So, I wouldn't really blame us too much. Sometimes you just got to applaud the quality of the goals, no matter who scores them.
Yeah,
I just think we got sucked towards the ball. Whereas normally we've been very disciplined, especially at the back lately, and I was just disappointed to see that. That's all I'm saying. I'm disappointed to see the players chase the ball, and instead of if they had stood up, they could have got a block on Stones' ball or forced him to play it out wide.
I think we saw quite a fair bit of that though. I think generally speaking, defensively we were very good. We were sitting quite deep. You see, even for that goal, to stop them getting them runs in behind, and it did work. But it doesn't legislate for Stones stepping into the space and them having a centre back. And again, maybe we switched off if it's earlier, but it's nitpicking. It's been very, very nitpicking.
Yeah,
We played very well throughout the whole game, so it's tough for me to start throwing accusations at the defence.
No, there's no. I wouldn't say there's any howlers bias. And do you know what? That's a brilliant finish by John Stones. Aguero would be proud of that finish. So again, I can't really fault our defenders or Randolph, and he had a few hours notice before he played, or maybe it was the day before, but. Yeah, I mean,
I think he's getting harsh stick. If I'm honest, I don't. He come in late notice. I think maybe Fabianski possibly is a bit more decisive on the first one, but then it's more of the defenders. It's like I don't really see where the criticism comes of Randolph. I don't think he's as good as a shot stopper as Fabianski is. I think we've seen that this season, but it's harsh to criticise him. I think in this game.
Yeah, again, as I said, I think Fabianski might be getting closer to the ball on Stones' shot, thing. But the fault doesn't lie with the goalkeeper on either. Okay, you stick Peak, Ike, Casillas or Buffon in there, you might have a chance of saving both of them, but in the real world, no.
We nearly went down that dodgy tie route of saying the sun was in his eyes for Randolph for the second goal. I think with Charles, I was like, we ain't going down that route at all. But
sun's in his eyes.
Yeah, but no, look, we did get the goal. I think there was a period maybe of around 10 minutes, and I'm talking very minuscule, but it felt like West Ham
Mickey hit the post.
Mickey hit the post, arguably could have scored that, a little bit more composure. But what was so impressive about those moments, West Ham really pressed and pushed the wing backs high. We got Lingard and Antonio there. We forced them into errors. And I think it's why I'm hoping I'm seeing a little bit of a change against some of these bigger sides where we've stepped off them before like we did against Liverpool. But the intention to go and press and cause the mistakes is exactly what you need in these types of games. So I'm hoping that particularly with Man United on the horizon, that's something we look at.
Yeah, if we played like we did against City, like we did against Liverpool at home, we would have beat Liverpool at home, I think. But even against some of the lesser sides like Brighton, the first half was awful, sat off them, shouldn't. Like, do you know what I mean? So as well as the top sides, I mean, should try and play that way against the other sides, but you have for most of the season. Hence why we're in the top four. So, but no, it was really good to see, and I totally agree, Corey. I mean, it's all one of the good trying to have a positive mentality, but you players got to implement it at the end of the day. You've got to have the confidence to pass the ball, receive the ball in tight areas, and actually do something with the ball because City give opposition a lot more of the ball this season rather than they did in 17-18 when they got 100 points or 18-19 when they retained the title. They used to sort of press really high from the front when they had like Sane, etc. But they sit off a little bit more now. So teams have more possession, but you've got to make the most of it. And our transitions were fantastic, creating chances, and we could have scored it even more. Which how many times have we said that against City over the years? Hardly any. And even before Guardiola was manager of Man City, our record at the Etihad or what used to be called the City Manchester Stadium is awful.
Two wins in my memory, and one of them's in the cup.
Yeah, with Ashton scored, wasn't it? So our record there isn't brilliant, but I thought, albeit it was another loss, I thought it was honourable defeat if there is one.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you don't want to be like, we played well, but we lost. And obviously everyone knows that, but like you say, the record at sort of their place isn't great. No, I just felt that the pressing was very, very good. The ball carrying was exactly what we needed to be. I think you saw that with Wolves last night. They had a period, I think it was 10-15 minutes, where they suddenly started pressing high. Moutinho was high. That's the game plan if you're going to try. But it's a bit counterintuitive because you almost don't want to go and press onto them because they're so good at beating it. But you have to if you're going to get anything. So I think West Ham, to be fair, and we'll touch on this as well, the squad depth, if we had more options in there, I felt like we tired 60, 70 minutes and we couldn't prolong exactly what we needed to do to get another goal in the game. And I think that's ultimately where we slipped down. And Man City brought on Sterling and I think Foden come on as well. So it was really, really tough. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was spot on. Tactically, it was absolutely spot on from Moyes.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort. I mean, the only thing I'd say about the subs is, as much as I agree with them, could they have been brought on 10 minutes earlier? Would be my only argument.
Yeah.
But saying that, the players were playing well at the time. So do you make a change and it disrupts things? That might be his thinking. But no, apart from that, I think the game plan was spot on.
Yeah, I think again it's nitpicking, isn't it? I think if I'm sitting
Yeah,
here
exactly.
saying
Yeah,
bring on, but to be fair, it's a valid discussion because I had it with Dan, we had it with Charles, and it was very
yeah,
much like if you've got Bowen, and I thought Ben Rama had a decent spell as well when he came on in terms of
yeah.
that ball retention, and I think he's going to play a prominent part against Leeds. I would hope so. He had such a good performance last time. Expecting to see him in there on Monday, but I would like to have seen
Oh,
him maybe a bit
how many
earlier.
times have we said that, lads?
Yeah, I know, but
Expect Ben Roth to be starting.
But
No,
but
don't
but
start.
in fairness to Pablo Fornals, he had a better game than he's had for a fair while, and it's a bit harsh because you could argue he got the assist for Lingard's second goal against or our second against Spurs. But I thought in that game, like his composure on the ball was a lot better. I don't know how you lads felt about it. I've seen people say that one of his better performances this season.
Yeah, highly impressive. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why we're doing well. We've got options in those sort of wing and attacking midfield positions, and you've got to be on your game, otherwise you're outside. So that is the one area where we've got a little bit of depth, albeit not a huge amount. But yeah, we've got. I mean, that's what look at City. Obviously, a bit of an extreme example, but the players on the bench, as you mentioned, Corey, if they're not 8, 9 out of 10 every game, they'll be on the bench next to Guardiola. So that's sort of where we've got to try and be. But we are, in those attacking areas, we've got options. So everyone's got to be on their game and contribute.
Yeah, and we saw that with Lingard's goal, didn't we? Again, we missed that. I think in a couple of the sort of first half of the season fixtures, that guy to get in and around the box. I know he's not a natural 9, but just the fact that he's willing to make those runs you see for the Antonio goal. I obviously thought it was Lingard that scored, but actually it was Mickey from the first reaction. But that's what, and a lot of people, and I saw it a lot in the game. He was willing to take men on. Man City knew his quality and. He's been such a good signing, lads. He really, really has. I think we really need to start looking at possibly tying it in because I think the more he performs, the more other teams are going to start looking at him. I know you've been proven right, Dennis. God, have the floor, mate. I told you
his
so.
face.
Loves it.
Everyone on the show and everyone in the comments was saying that they were saying all sorts, but history has proven me right on this one. Not on others.
I've got to be honest. I can't believe how good he's been. I genuinely cannot believe how good he's been. And I think that's
certainly straight away. I thought eventually he'd get up to a good level, but we saw it from his debut against Villa.
Yeah. I thought we were getting a player that worked hard. That I was going to put a shift in. And I thought, okay, fair enough, that's what Moyes want. But the actual quality he's got on the ball and the intelligence and the ball carrying and everything else to his game, we've actually really done well to get that player in, and hopefully it pushes us on towards a European space, lads. Fingers crossed we can get it. But we kind of touched on it a little bit. But in terms of the change in mentality, do you think that maybe this is a marker? Do you think maybe this is the time that West Ham, because it felt like, I know we talked about tactically and the way it works, and it was a perfect game plan, but do you hope that now it's a time that when we go into that Manchester United fixture, we're not scared of some of these teams anymore? Because sometimes it feels like we're playing the club rather than the side on the pitch. And listen, Man United are a good side and they didn't play well on Sunday. But it's a game that West Ham can win if we play it right. They are a worse team than Manchester City, which isn't saying much at the moment. But do you feel like possibly there's a change in mentality there? We saw Soufal at the end, head in hands.
Yeah. Obviously we beat Tottenham. Obviously they're not going great at the moment.
They're not a big team.
But you look at the players they've got. Obviously, Jose Mourinho, and equal to Pep Guardiola in terms of success the last 20 years. So, and plus we haven't, last couple of years at the London Stadium, seems like they always beat us 3-2. They would go 3-0 up, and we get 2 goals back. So to beat them obviously was great, and obviously the caliber of players and stuff. And then I think that definitely gave us confidence going into the City game. And Man United, well, we should have beaten them earlier in the season at home.
Yeah.
Only going in 1-0 up at half time. That we can talk about the goal that might have got Pogba's goal. Well, it's been done to death. But we should have scored more. We should have been 3-0 up at least half time. Game's over. So if we play like we did against City, if we take that to Man United, I don't think they're the best defensively. They're definitely, they're not the quickest side either. Maguire, Lindelof aren't the quickest off the ground. So, I think they're definitely causing problems as long as we take the same mentality, which hopefully we will.
Dennis, thoughts maybe, I know it was a loss, but maybe a certain change in mentality for West Ham against those bigger sides?
Yeah, I mean, what it was really was, a lot was made before the Spurs game. Admittedly, yes, okay, they're lower down the table at the minute, but they are a top 6 team. A lot was made of David Moyes' performances against top 6 sides.
Yeah.
A lot was made, and in the last 2 games, we've beaten Tottenham and we've given City a really good go. In years gone by, we lose to Man City 4-5-0. Not based on the performances at the weekend, but just on the scorelines we have had. We gave it a go, and that's all we can ask. I think we ran down the fixture list last Fans Voice, and we sort of said, look at those games. I think the only ones for me, again, United, Chelsea, those are going to be the games where I'm like, right, I think we're probably going to lose, but as long as we give it a go, based on reputation. But as you said, we need to not play the club reputation, play what's in front of you. Like, at the time, I was disagreeing with Angus when he mentioned about, we should be attacking Liverpool when it was 0-0 in that game we lost 3-0 in the end. Or 3-1 in the end, should I say, sorry. But if we had attacked them, because I remember we were put on blast once again by Talk Sport for not Adrian Durham for the team saying, Moyes, you've set them up to lose a little bit if your pre-match thing and performance, but that was night and day compared to what we got against City. We could easily have done that. We could easily have gone out and thought, right, let's try and keep it respectful, hopefully nick a point, which historically we would have done. We'd try to keep it tight and maybe make some subs and chase the game if we're only 1-0 down late on, Think of Arsenal away under Moyes in his first spell. We went 1-0 down, brought on Hernandez and played 2 up top with Anantovic, and Anantovic, buries an equaliser. We end up losing 4-1, but we give it a go. It's a completely different performance compared to what we've been used to, is what I'm saying. We're going around the houses to prove my point, but it's a completely different performance. It's a completely different West Ham side. And I just hope this season isn't an anomaly based on fans not being there and low expectations and other teams struggling, i.e., third season Mourinho happening a year early at Tottenham, etc.
Well, I think
I know it continues, is what I'm saying.
I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. I think we've picked up consistency. Obviously, I think that mentality thing is a huge thing. The fact we're beating a lot of the sides, the other 14 sides, as it were. And the fact the league is a little bit up and down at the minute. Obviously, Villa losing tonight, Leicester drawing with Burnley. That is the case of what it is. But we have definitely improved. The reason why I bring up the point about mentality is because I remember back to the Chelsea game last year. I remember the way that West Ham were playing against Wolves and Tottenham after Project Restart. And we were using Mickey Antonio as a lone striker, trying to get long balls into him, and we were never committing men forward. And the minute we played Chelsea and we won 3-2 and played a little bit differently, we started to play a bit differently. Obviously, there was a bit of confidence naturally, but the way that we played and the way that we attacked. Now, I'm hoping that this type of performance, given the positivity around it, sets that marker going forward. And I think we have improved massively since then, obviously. But I just hope it's a long-term thing. And you'd have to trust Moyes, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm hoping. Look, we've got a game against Leeds on Monday evening. So obviously,
you've got a lot riding on this, haven't you, Corey?
I've got a lot riding on this game. It's before the whistle blows derby. But look, I mean, they are a good side. They are a very good side. I think Bielsa's a top coach. The way that they play with the players that they have. I know they make a few mistakes, but that is because of the personnel. In my opinion, lads, we beat them last time 2-1, and we had loads of chances. I remember Sebastian Haller having probably one of the worst games he'd had in a West Ham shirt. How different do you think it is this time around? Because Leeds have actually improved from a little bit from set pieces, but West Ham have clearly improved as well. Do you think we go into this game as the clear favourites? Is that fair to say?
Form-wise, I'd say so. Leeds have got 2 wins in the last 5. We've got 3 in our last 5 and a point as well, whereas Leeds have got 3 defeats. So they're a bit up. They either win or they lose, basically, is what I'm saying. I've got a feeling that set pieces are
that's like football.
Set pieces are our money maker, and set pieces are Leeds' Achilles heel. So last time we won 2-1, despite having a poor performance from Haller that could have been overshadowed if he had buried that overhead kick, if you remember. But Ogbonna scored from a free kick, and Souček scored from a corner, and they scored from a penalty. So it wasn't like they scored from open play. They had to have that retaken penalty, if you remember. So I think we quite comfortably beat them without getting out of second gear. at Ellen Road, and I think Leeds United would fans in a cold light of day would admit that we didn't get out of second gear, yet we still beat them. We took those 2 chances that we had, and we could have scored more. Like Ogbono and Balbuena playing 1-2s in the penalty area, if you remember. And one of them, I think it was Balbuena hit the inside of the post. Haller had an overhead kick saved, and Fornells had a traditional hitting of the post. So it could have, on another bloody day, it could have been 5-1 or 5-0 if Fabianski doesn't have to or they don't have to retake that penalty when Fabianski.
Been quite a few games like this season, isn't it? Like I remember Palace, we should have really won that one, probably 5-1 in the end. But you're right, Dennis. We really dominated the game. That was probably one of the better performances. It was just that goal that was missing.
We didn't really get out of second gear. No. I'll be honest, we really didn't play that well, I don't think. And as I said, Haller had a terrible game. I even said so at the time. People saying, "Oh yeah, the Haller mark." Even I was calling him out. But yeah, so we should be the favourites. So as a result, we'll end up bloody shithousing this and losing 1-0. So
would you? I'll go to Bill on this one. Do you think we keep the formation the same, mate? I know we played the 3-4-3 or the kind of 5-4-1 in the end against Man City. Would you stick with that, or would you go to the 4-2-3-1 that worked the first time around?
Yeah, the latter. I'd say I'd go to 4 at the back, but if we play a 5, I wouldn't be against it. I said before, it doesn't matter what formation you play. It's the mentality that the players show and how many players you get in the box and stuff. So you can play a 4-4-2 and still be defensive. So do you know what I mean? So I think, I'd personally go 4 at the back and try and do a similar what we did in the away game. I think Dennis is right. I don't think we played out of our skins, but we still created a load of chances because Leeds, they like to play expansive football, open the game up, real throwback football. When they play the same style, whether they're at home or the away side. So I reckon they're going to play exactly the same. Like they went at Man United, they got thrashed, but they were still going at it in the 90th minute, running their bollocks off. Do you know what I mean? So I think it'd be the same. So we've got to be clinical, which hopefully we will be. But I still fancy us to get a win, but I reckon it'll be quite high scoring.
I think we get a lot of chances in this game, to be fair. I think now we've got Lingard in the side, Mickey Antonio as well. Hopefully, he seems like... I know he starts blowing Mickey after maybe 60 minutes, but I thought first half against City and Tottenham, he was very good and he was kind of a little bit like we were used to seeing from him. So I think we'll get a lot of chances. I'm hoping Benrahma comes into this game because it's such a game for him to benefit in. It was brilliant. The amount of space he had last time was probably his best game in a West Ham shirt for me, or there and thereabouts. So would you bring him? I know Wooly Jumper's put in the comments 4-2-3-1 Benrahma in for Johnson. Do you reckon that's fair, or possibly Fornals keeps his space? I don't know. It depends how defensive Moyes really wants to be with this one.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be against that at all. Yeah, as I say, we got to attack them from their first whistle and get plenty of players in the box and then take our chances. So no matter who we play, but that's the thing. As I said, we've got options in those attacking areas. So whatever combination Moyes thinks will benefit us.
Weird one, isn't it? Because obviously Bowen didn't play the last game either, and I think Bowen, obviously, in terms of his form, and I think we spoke about it last week or the week before, he has tailed off a little bit. So it was interesting to see Fornals playing on the right hand side. So maybe we see Fornals playing and someone like a Benrahma and Lingard at 10. But I feel a bit harsh on Bowen, to be honest. But I think he has to be a little bit more clinical, and maybe he's just getting the rest at the minute to get his.
He's probably knackered the amount of running he's doing. So and it's a good option to have off the bench as well. Going into Leeds, obviously, it's going to be quite a high press game. Like you say, they play the same way home or away against every team. The big difference in this game will be whether Calvin Phillips plays. Now, obviously, everyone West Ham fan will know that debate. Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice. I think we've put that one to bed, so we can move on from it. But he's pivotal. He's absolutely pivotal. And at the moment, obviously, he's on compassionate leave, and it has actually affected the way that kind of Leeds have played. I know they got 3-0 against Southampton, but for you lads, just on a neutral perspective, how much you rate Calvin Phillips? Do you agree he's as important to Leeds as I say he is? Yeah, without doubt.
But that doesn't discount the fact that Leeds do have other quality players. It's just the way they play and the way he dictates their play. It is a different animal playing them without Calvin Phillips, but it doesn't mean to say that they're not a threat without him, is what I would say. It's not quite like if we would lose Declan Rice purely because they've got someone better in their reserves. And that's no disrespect to Mark Noble, but Mark Noble comes in for Declan Rice. The way we play is very different.
Yeah. I think they've
in a detrimental way.
I think obviously with a vested interest in Leeds being on the Friday show, I think I've watched quite a fair bit of Leeds, and they've struggled a fair bit. They've tried to play Stroik there. He's a centre back, not a central defensive midfielder. They've got Llorente back in again, possibly someone that they throw in there. And what Calvin does off the ball as well as on the ball is so important. I think it's more the case that they don't have anyone to really replace him. And I know it's very, very similar for West Ham in that regard. Nobles can't obviously replace Declan Rice, but not having him in makes them a little bit more vulnerable. The other big player, Rafinha, I don't know how much you lot have seen of him, but unbelievable talent. I mean,
talk of him being signing of the season on the old Twitter. I'm just saying, there's talk of him being signing.
His name's not Vladimir Soufal, is it?
I know. I'm not saying he is, but all I'm saying he's up there in the conversation.
No, you're bang on. He's up there in the conversation, up there with probably Diaz as well, and maybe Martinez. But he's improved a fair bit, to be fair. He's been a bit more consistent, actually, since we played them last. Is he someone you lads are worried about? I mean, if he goes off that right-hand side with Creswell and it's a back four, I know Creswell's been a little bit sketchy in the back four. Is that something that you're a bit anxious about?
I'd be anxious whoever's playing, really, if I'm honest with you, in that situation, because you don't need to be a top-quality winger to get the better of, and it's not Creswell, but when Creswell decides he wants to be a centre-back, even a bang average winger or someone playing out on the wing that isn't a natural winger will get freedom down that right, and all it takes is one ball, be it quality or fortune, to split our defence. So I'd be worried no matter what. No Rafinha. But yes, Rafinha would pose a threat, even if it's the opposite. Even if we're playing 5 at the back with Ben Johnson as a left back, Cresswell playing as a centre back, I think Rafinha will still give us a threat personally.
Yeah, that's the only worry about Chris, isn't it? Because I mean, he is very good from left centre back, but he's a bit sketchy.
And you need him in there for those dead ball situations. You do need him. Take away his free kicks. We don't get the point against Spurs. We don't beat Leeds. So many other games we don't win if we don't have Cresswell's delivery in there. Cannot take that away from him.
Even in games where he hasn't been great, his delivery is so important just going forward. So, I mean, you kind of worry about it. And I think sides, particularly second half against Spurs, they brought on Bale and Doherty to target that side. And you worry that obviously they are going to push up. If Dallas plays or Alien plays on the right, he's going to come forward. And that is my only concern. And I think it changes the way who we have to bring in, because it might actually say to Moyes, actually, we need Fornals for the work rate to cover for Chris rather than Ben Rama, even though Ben Rama could add a little bit going forward.
But then you mentioned name there again. So a couple of Leeds players that go under the radar, and one of them, in my opinion, is Stuart Dallas.
Yeah, completely agree, mate.
You don't need to play Fantasy Football League to see that he's picking up points left, right, and centre when they're not getting clean sheets. That's because he is getting assists and goals. Another player, although I say he's gone under the radar, is not being true. He is definitely on the radar, but he's taken everyone by surprise, is Bamford.
Yeah.
Bamford struggled for goals. When I remember watching him play for Crystal Palace up top, he had an ill-spirited loan spell, and I was just like, the hype for this kid. I think Forest got him. Chelsea got him from Forest, and he was, going to tip to be, Chelsea's, answer to Chelsea's long-term striking problems. And I remember watching him Palace in 2016 and just be like, this guy's average championship striker. And, improving along. Admittedly, game time, I think, was a big thing for him. And it's just the fact that might get slaughtered for this. He reminds me a bit of Teddy Sheringham in the fact that he doesn't need to be quick. He doesn't even need a lot, but he just has he's in the right place at the right time and scores those little soft headers or those little soft goals that other strikers don't get. Other strikers don't get in the position because he reads the game quite well. That's my take on it. I don't watch Leeds week in, week out, will freely admit, but I get a lot of it in the ear from a very, very, I wouldn't say deluded, but a Leeds fan that thinks Leeds are the biggest team in Europe, still considers them the champions of Europe, and actually put a bet on them to get top 6 this season. That's not looking likely, is it, Fiona? But there we are. But Patrick Bamford and Stuart Dallas are the two players I'm most concerned with. For these, because I could just see Bamford ghosting in based on Diop's indecisiveness and Dawson. And again, I'm going to maybe get a lot of stick on Twitter if you see this, but he isn't the quickest centre back, and if he can mark you, that's great. But if he loses you, he's lost you.
Yeah.
His recovery isn't fantastic, and Bamford could have that moment of that slice of good luck or that good positioning to hurt us in that instance.
But
So those are the two players I'm concerned with more than Rafinha.
it is a legitimate point though, because I think even though we beat Aston Villa, I do remember Ollie Watkins giving Dawson a few issues, and I think it's the same. It's the same. It's the same nature of a player, though, isn't it? Paddy Bamford isn't like lightning quick. He does work very hard off the ball, but it's just his movement, very natural.
He's lightning slow. Lightning slow is a phrase one of my PE teachers used to say all the time when he took the school football team. You need to be lightning
Robbie
slow.
Keane was like that as well.
Yeah, lightning slow in that you're not quick, but your movement, your knowledge, your reading of the game
he's
gives
thinking,
you a yard of pace.
He's thinking before the actual moments happen, and I think with Leeds, it's inevitable that they're going to create. And to be fair to him, I know he misses a few fairer chances, and he has got a lot of goals this season. Credit to him coming up from the Championship, but I think actually his composure sometimes. I can't remember what game it might have been Leicester, where he sees the ball, he steps over it, takes his time, and I think we have to limit as many chances with this guy as possible.
It was the screamer he scored against Leicester, because I remember saying, I think we were about to go on. Can't remember who it was. We were about to go on live, and I was like, watch the Patrick Bamford goal when you can. He scored an absolute screamer.
Well, to be fair, mate, I remember doing a preview for the first Leeds game saying, look, you've got to look out for this guy, because sometimes we were a bit dodgy between the two centre-backs, and then literally first minute, he got through and they got a penalty, and I was like, there we go. That's exactly the problem. And he is that, and he is a very. He's knocking on the door for England. I'm not sure whether he'll get there, obviously, but
I thought he declared for Ireland. I thought he'd already declared.
Apparently
that might be just it happened in my Football Manager save, so I'm adamant it's real. Possibly, rumor
kicking around though, isn't it? So I mean, he's there and thereabouts, definitely on form. I'll actually address it. There was an article on social media. How true it is, I don't know. Of someone saying that if West Ham get into Europe, that I don't know if you lads have seen it, but essentially that they'll look at players lower in the league that haven't got European football, i.e. Rafinha, Bamford, Tarkowski and Dunk. I mean, I forget whether it's true or not, because 9 times out of 10 with West Ham it isn't. Would you be happy with those type of players if they came through the door? For me, they're all valid.
Some not. So it really depends. For example, Lewis Dunk has been a solid centre back for Brighton. We were linked with him a lot in the Allardyce years when Brighton were miles away from not miles away, but didn't look like they were ever going to get Premier League. They were always, playoff semi-final fodder. But I just feel he's a player that it works at Brighton. Once he leaves there, I think he'll struggle to fit in another club purely because he's been there his entire career. I can't see it working out personally, but been wrong. Tarkowski didn't cover himself with glory when I've seen him play this season against us, but a very good centre back. But I don't with Dawson. I think with Dawson coming in, presumably on a permanent, I would look for a long-term replacement for Ogbonna, and Tarkowski is not that. In my opinion, if you're going centre back, I'd want someone with a bit of pace and someone that's going to last a few more years. Rafinha happily take, but then you've got on your hand, you've got Lingard, you've got Cornell, you've got Ben Rama, you've got Bowen. You've got to keep all of them happy. You throw Rafinha in that mix. Can't see us bringing in Rafinha would only come in if he got first team football. Who's the other name you're looking at? Bamford? Bamford. Would Bamford fit the pressing style that we have under Antonio? I'm not 100% again because I haven't watched Leeds play week in, week out.
Bill, any of those names tickle your fancy?
Yeah, I don't mind being linked with any established, experienced Premier League player, but as long as they, as Dennis rightly says, fit our style. We need squad depth. We said it 100 times an episode this season. We're going to keep saying it. Yeah, exactly. Every show. But would be nice to get some more Premier League quality. And if they fit our style, then why not?
Yeah. I'd like Bamford if we could get him, to be fair. I really, because it's at the moment, I don't know if you've seen it, Tammy Abraham's been linked with West Ham, so it's kind of like, and he is a good player, and I possibly would take him, but you're right, we need someone that is going to fit in, that we know is going to fit in with this team. There's no point in taking a punt on someone, bringing him in.
Or Hernandez.
Yeah, Hernandez,
yeah. Obviously Premier League quality player, but
playing him on the wing.
Well, or lumping balls up to him like he's 6'5".
Well, lads, don't worry, because again, TalkSport said that Haaland wants to join a bigger club than Chelsea, so he's coming to us.
And we are the biggest club in London, so yeah,
We are
it
the
makes
biggest club in
perfect sense.
London. We're signing Haaland, lads. That's all that matters. I'm sure Sullivan will get the checkbook out. £10 million offer for Dortmund.
Yeah,
Loan
instalments.
offer on loan, yeah.
On loan, but we'll give you, loan, but Dortmund have to pay all the wages.
Sullivan's
Yeah.
special.
Lovely stuff. No, look, I mean, any of those players. I quite like Lewis Dunk, to be fair. Like, I think I do think
again, with you.
Centre back is one of them things where we've been very good this season, and as good as Dawson and Bonner are, they are wrong side of 30. So I mean, we should kind of look if we are going to. And it's not to say, by the way, that Alves can't come in, and he's obviously a young centre back, and a less as well probably will try and come through, but ideally we need to be looking long term already. You know what I mean? We can't just sort of get there and say, oh yeah, look, our centre backs are possibly pick up injuries. You're getting towards the 30, 32 age. So I would like to see a player like him. And I think as well, like, he's been ready for the step up for a long time. Although maybe because no one's come in for him, maybe he isn't as good.
Or if we're looking at a Brighton defender, Ben White would be the centre back I'd possibly look
Ben
at.
White, tell me about it. Yeah.
He was insane at Leeds last year when I did watch them more often. But again, we're owned by David Sullivan. We're not spending over 20 odd million on someone. And Dunk, I just think it's nothing against Dunk. I like him. I think he's very good at Brighton. But it's just one of those where if you've been at a club for so long and moved to another club, it doesn't always work out the way you want it. You know, look at when Jose Font left Southampton for us, for example. You know, I just think if we are going to get in a centre back, I'd be looking to replace a Bonner with someone 25, 26. Potentially from a bigger team, rather than signing off cuts or anything like that from bigger teams. So
someone approaching their prime.
Yeah, someone approaching their prime, someone that isn't Phil Jones,
But they cost the most expensive, those kind of players. So
I know. Well, if we get European football, if we want to progress, that's what we want to do. I'm saying if I was West Ham owner, but I'm not David Sullivan. I'm not a billionaire that refuses to spend any money. So
I think the Ben White thing is a good thing to bring up because it is that next level of centre back in it. The guy that can play out from the back. I think you can't criticise our centre backs this season because they have been very good. But I think the next level going forward is that type of centre back that's willing to play. I think Alves, from the short clips I've seen of him, can do that, but probably very, very raw, very rough around the edges. Can West Ham beat Leeds United on Monday? Do you think? Do we have to beat Leeds? Do we have to beat Leeds to be in European contention or to stay where we are?
Yeah, we do because we've lost 2 games already to Liverpool, who are chasing us. We've already played Tottenham both times, so we can't get any points off them. So we're going to have to beat teams. We've still got to play. We've still got some very tough games. We've got Leicester, Wolves is no day off. Chelsea. We've got Man United. And we've got Arsenal, again, that is no day off. And we've got Everton that are right behind us. Also, Everton have got game in hand over us. When they win that, they go ahead of us automatically. So we've got to win every game we can. And I'm not saying win Leeds because we're going to lose to Man United. But what I'm saying is if you beat Leeds, then and then I think we've got Arsenal next after Leeds.
Man United.
Okay, well, that's even better, for example. If you beat Leeds, then there is less pressure coming to that Manchester United game. Just like when he said with Sheffield United, you beat Sheffield United, there is less pressure coming into the Tottenham and City game. There's less pressure on us if we beat Leeds. That's why I think actually get situations like this where we got and again, there's no easy game in the Premier League. It's fact. There's no easy game, except maybe Sheffield United at home
or Derby in 07-08.
You leave Derby County out of this, Bill. But was a lost my train of thought there. It was not the first time. But yeah, no. You mentioned Derby County. I got excited. But yeah, if you beat Leeds, there's less pressure coming into that United game. So therefore, if we do lose that United game, we still we picked up 3 points against Leeds. Let's now get a result against Arsenal. So over those 9 games, we get 4 to 6 points. If at the beginning of the season, if you were said, Leeds at home, United away, Arsenal at home, you look at that and think, you've got to beat the Leeds game, haven't you? You got to win that Leeds game. So that's why I say it, because then there's just less pressure coming into a run-in. So for me, it is more important than you would think beating Leeds on Monday night for me.
Got there eventually.
No, it is a massive, but it is a massive test because I think I've always been a bit sketchy about the Europe thing. I know we've been in and around there, but I always feel. But now I'm at that stage where, particularly when we beat Spurs, hang on, we are in this contention. We can do something. But
You're
the Leeds games,
disappointed if we don't. Like.
yeah, if we draw against Leeds, I'll be disappointed. That's just my opinion. I think we need to win that type of game. The Man United one, if we drop points or even if we lose, I can get it. It wouldn't be great. But then you've got to go and really beat Leeds and Arsenal. For me, particularly where they are at this season. Would you agree with that, Bill? Do you think we've got to go and win them games, or are we all right to possibly get a draw in one of them?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've played our hardest game of the season.
Yeah,
exactly. We've played, so we shouldn't fear any of the other sides. And if we want to be ambitious and get into Europe, and obviously we want to get in the group stage proper, don't we? And not pissing about with qualifiers or whatever. Let's get in the group stage proper. If we're gonna do that, then we need to win these games. So let's go and do it.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think? Yeah, I think we've answered it. I was going to say, no, but I just think we need to win the next. I think Leeds Arsenal winnable games. We need to win them. If we get a draw against United, I'll be happy with that. But we have to keep momentum.
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, isn't the stat saying Moyes hasn't lost more than 2 games on the bounce this season? So in theory, we should. No, I'm not going to say anything, but in theory, we should bounce. But we didn't play Man City. Do you know what I mean? So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'll come to score predictions for you lads, starting with Bill. It was ages to get away the game, but there you go.
West Ham 3-1.
And Dennis.
Going to go 2-1 West Ham again. Same score as away, 2-1 West Ham.
I'm going to agree with Bill. I'm going to go 3-1. I think it'll be a bit more comprehensive. I think they'll make a couple of errors. If Calvin's out as well, they are going to struggle. They're struggling with injuries, to be honest. I think Rodrigo's not even in the side. Clicks are having a bit of a poor performance in a minute, so fingers crossed we get the 3-1 and I don't have to go onto that Leeds show on Friday with my head bowed.
With your camera off.
Mate, I am unbeaten against all of them lot. So I haven't tasted defeat yet. So I'm enjoying it. So I don't want that run to end. Any last words, gents? We all good to go?
Yeah, let's go. Let's beat them Monday. Let's keep our momentum going.
And give Fabianski a new contract.
How long would you give him?
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
That way we can still maybe. We're not going to make profit, but if we do want to part ways after a year, we can. It's not going to be a free transfer, and if he has great form next year, he can't leave us on a free, leave us high and dry. So that's why I think 2 years safest option.
Has he only got 1 year on his deal left after?
He's out of contract this summer.
You're joking?
Yeah, he's out of contract this summer, and I think someone said Balbuena is as well. I didn't think. I thought Balbuena had another year, but.
That's not good.
Yeah, Fabianski's out of contract in summer, mate.
God, that's rough. Didn't know I have to do a video on that. That's not good. That really isn't good. I didn't want to hear that. But,
he's got 3 months and 20. He's got 3 months and 27 days on his contract.
Sign him up.
Goes out of contract on the 30th of June 2021.
Jeez, we've really got to get that wrapped up, mate. On that sad note, fingers crossed Lucas signs a new deal and we actually offer him one. Thanks so much for joining me. Drop a like on the stream. Thanks to Dennis and Bill for coming along. Thank you very much. Although Charles dropped out last minute. You know where you are, mate, right? And you will be back on Monday evening for the watch along. Loads more stuff coming up this week. We've got a preview tomorrow night with All Leeds TV. Me and Dan are going to talk to Joe about the game in general. You're going to get your predicted 11 and opposition analysis out over the weekend. And then Monday evening, for a really, really late game, I'll be up till about 12:30, I imagine. 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll start at 7:30, and you will get, of course, a player ratings after and a post-match analysis. So thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, take care.